And this is my biggest problem with Mamdani. He said 5 years ago as assemblyman, he said that he wanted to fund the police. NYPD is a bunch of racists. F them. We can do better. We don't need the police. Really?
What is his plan? What is his plan to not need the police? If there's ever a city that needs police, it is New York. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crime and Entertainment. Our most reoccurring guest of all time, Ignacio Esteban. Welcome back, my friend. How are you?
Hey, good. Hollywood Wade, what's going on, my brother?
Nothing much, man. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving.
Heck yeah. I ate a lot of turkey, a lot of leftovers, and watched some good football. I think everybody else did, huh?
Absolutely. I don't know about good football, depending on who your money was on. I think Thursday and Friday is one of the last Thanksgivings I remember where all the underdogs covered the spread, and in most cases won outright. I think Green Bay was an underdog. They won outright. Kansas City was definitely a favorite, so Dallas won outright. And then to end it all, Joe Burrow was a 6-point dog, I think, and he won outright. And then Friday, what I think shocked a lot of people, and a team that's very good that nobody's really wanting to give credit to, Chicago Bears, was an underdog, and they beat the Philadelphia Eagles. So the dogs were barking for Thanksgiving for sure.
And don't forget about the Broncos, how they beat the Commanders.
Yeah, barely.
They're going for the win. The 2-point conversion. And Mariota, they blocked it. What I saw that one. What a finish there.
Yeah, that was exciting.
Oh, yes.
So today we're going to talk a little politics and a little college football. So if you don't like politics, skip ahead. If you're interested in what we got to talk about, we're going to do some college football later on.
Oh, be good. That's a perfect season.
Absolutely. And you know that I'm a big fan of New York City. I've went up there quite a bit for the podcast. I'm actually going back in a couple of weeks. In fact, the 21st, I'll be up there, or the 20th, whatever Sunday is before Christmas. I'm taking my son to go see the Giants and the Vikings at MetLife Stadium. So the first time I've ever experienced a sporting event in New York, as many times as I went.
Huh?
Yep.
First one?
Technically, that's New Jersey, but I mean, yes, it's, for the Giants in the Meadowlands.
Hey, they call themselves the New York Giants for a reason, right?
Right, 100%.
And the Jets play there. They
both share the stadium.
Unreal.
But they've got a new mayor that just got in there.
Mayor-elect. He's sworn in at midnight. When the ball drops, he puts his hand up, and they go from a indicted, pardoned criminal, Eric Adams, former NYPD lieutenant, right, to a self-proclaimed, non-apologetic socialist Democrat. Wow. And Bellagio was another disaster. He was a socialist too. Man, NYC, last few mayors have been atrocious. Awful. I wrote, and I know we talk about my books, but I also write a lot on Medium. And I saw this happening, and I said, this will cripple NYC. Now, I was just there for Christmas last year. I took my daughters for the first time, and we explored everything else, and we spent the day there. And man, I remember New York City from the 90s. I went there during the era of Giuliani. I spent some time there. And then with work, I spent more time. And I hate to say it, man, it's just deteriorating in the city. It's awful. It's awful. You don't respect law and order, man, it's going to be brutal.
Yeah, and I mean, you look on there. My mom is always like frantic anytime I tell her I got to go there. She tells me all the bad things, and I'm like, well, I don't really hang around in those parts of town. But I mean, stuff's happening on the subways. Earlier this year there was a DJ, I think, that was standing there, and the guy just walks by him. He goes out of camera view, comes back, pushes them right in front of the train as the train's coming up. Luckily, a miracle. He didn't really get hurt all that bad. Couple of bruises, couple of cuts, but nothing major. Like probably in most cases, 9 times out of 10, if you're pushing from a train like that, you're not coming out in whole if you're coming out at all. You're probably coming out in pieces. So definitely, and then they had the lady that was set on fire. They got set her on fire on the subway. So
that was probably illegal from Guatemala.
Yes.
Who did that.
So
they got a lot of issues there.
A lot of stuff that's going on there. Tell us a little bit about this mayor-elect. What do you know about him?
Zohran Mamdani, but they were nicknamed him Mamdummy, right? That's what they were calling him. SNL, man, if you haven't seen those sketches from the debate, look it up. It is hilarious, funny. I mean, they hit. I don't know which is funnier, Zohran or Curtis Lua, and how they mimic him. I'll put some context here of the three characters who ran for mayor. This is I haven't seen an election like this in a long time for New York City. Three characters. Lua was their last time against Eric Adams and got crushed. It was just those two, and of course, everybody who doesn't know New York City, I'll give a little politics here. It's a very blue, very liberal area.
Very.
And it wasn't always like that. I mean, things were a little different in the 90s with Giuliani, right? Things have changed with Bloomberg. But man, it has just been inundated with this has become an ultra San Fran, but on the East Coast now. And they've really taken to it. And people come in. It's really, you talk to them, they say, no, the liberals like to live in that and they want to make it their little, hub. And that's going to become their major hub. They're taking NYC. And with this guy, a guy who says, hey, I am a socialist, non-apologetic socialist, and this is what I'm going to do. This guy came from nowhere. I'll be honest with you, I never heard, and I follow politics. Wade, I followed politics for years. Never heard this guy. They said he ran the New York Marathon last year. No security. No one knew who the hell he was. He was an assemblyman from Astoria, Queens. And no one knew who the hell this guy was. And then a year later, he's now the mayor of the most powerful city in the country, maybe in the world. Man, only in America.
Yeah,
only in America do you see something like that.
That's pretty shocking. And what's
unbelievable?
Curtis? What story? He was the Guardian Angels or whatever. Curtis Slua,
founder of the Guardian. Our buddy Bill, right?
Yeah.
William Steele.
Yep.
He was part of that back in the late 70s. He knew him. He was friends with Curtis, and he told me crazy stories about that there too. But not to regress from this guy, I'll give Mamdani, then I go to Slua if I believe all his connections. I know you like the mafia.
Yeah, I think there was a tie-in. Yeah, John Gotti Jr. I think had a hit out of. Yeah,
because he had a popular radio show.
Yeah,
he was talking bad about his father. Allegedly, they had a taxi go in there. I don't know if I believe the story that he gets shot in the stomach, jumps through the window while the taxi's moving, lands and escapes. But that's his story.
That's why I think my friend Andrea Giovino interviewed him in New York. Andrea Giovino was in that documentary Get Gotti.
Oh.
That was on Netflix, and I've had her on my show. I've been a guest on hers. She's a very, very nice lady, and I think I remember not too long ago her interviewing Curtis. And I've seen maybe I can get him on Crime and Entertainment and tell us a little bit about that.
He's got really popular, but yeah, I think he should do the show. And I mean, and what his take is, because SNL really makes fun of that whole angle,
right?
They say, "Oh, another attempt here. I took 2-3 rounds. I went through this." You know how they exaggerate the whole thing. A lot of people don't believe, but. I think, if I'm not mistaken, people were convicted for that.
Yeah.
So it was a serious attempt, and their feelings got hurt, I guess, because he was a little rough. And I think his mother's side is Italian and his father's side is Polish. That's why it comes to name Slua, right? I may be mispronouncing his last name there. But, he started the Guardian Angels. Guy worked at McDonald's, right? Back in the 70s, right there. And in a really bad area. I forgot which borough it was, if it was Queens or what have you. And, this is what I say about gun control. And we've talked about this, being a retired ATF guy. You take away the rights of people to protect themselves. Criminals don't care, right?
Right.
They're going to keep on coming. So they had to make up these strange little bats with things on them so they can defend themselves. Bizarro land right there, right? And eventually it evolved to a little crew to protect themselves. This is what Bill told me also. And he joined around until he got off, whatever happened. And protect people in the subway. New York in the 70s, it's getting bad now again, but it was awful. You risked your life going on these subways in the 70s and 80s until things got law and order. And this is my biggest problem with Mamdani. He said 5 years ago as assemblyman, he said that he wanted to fund the police. NYPD is a bunch of racists. F them. We can do better. We don't need the police. Really?
What is his plan? What is his plan to not need the police? If there's ever a city that needs police, it is New York. It is very big. There's a lot of people.
You and I have been there many times. 8 million plus, no policing. Gotham goes down, right? Gotham goes down. It's unreal.
And it's one of those things where New York is that, I always call it like, it's a hustler's haven. right? Especially you walk down Canal Street. I mean, they got every knockoff purse, watch, Gucci, handbag, whatever that, is like, if they don't have it laid out on the sidewalk for you, there's a lady that's walking by you every 2 feet with a pamphlet, watch Gucci purse, handbag, watch Gucci purse, handbag. And like, you tell them what you want and they whip you around the corner, open up the back of an SUV, and it's a damn, top of the line shopping cart over there.
Or if you go down and see basements.
Yeah, basements, all kinds of stuff. There's more stuff there. More stuff. Like, I remember last year I took my son, we went up there and he bought some knockoff Yeezys. They were like $25. They're like $150 pair of slippers, or sandals or whatever. We got a guy all the way down to like $30. Really couldn't tell the difference. They feel good. I actually bought me a pair. And we come back a few months later and he's like, see if they got them in brown or another color. And I go to Canal and I'm looking and it is bone dry. There's not nobody around. Nobody's selling anything. There's no glasses stands. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And I asked one of the guys, I was like, where are all the people that sell stuff? And he's like, man, they had a crackdown right after Christmas. He's like, people were complaining. He's like, so they cleared it off the streets. He's like, but just give it like a month and they'll be back. And sure enough, it's like they come out, they got to flex their muscle for a little bit and they just take it off the street and move it to the basements or around the corner where it's not direct. I think the shop owners who was upset because these people were literally post up a store right in front of the shop. And, they were getting tired of it. But I mean,
it hurts business. No doubt about it. It hurts
people don't want to go there. They don't want to be aggravated. So it does hurt businesses. But I mean, anytime you have that type of element, crime is going to come along with it. It's just the cost of doing business. So how is this guy planning on, policing New York City if he wants to defund the police? How is he going to maintain?
Yeah. Then he changes his tune, right? Then of course he's running now. And he says, well, I didn't mean it. It was different times. It was George Floyd riots, Minneapolis. I'm overcome by emotion. I shouldn't have tweeted that. And he gives an apology and says, of course, I will be for law and order and da, 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 da. And, of course, this guy say anything to get elected. They're going to say anything. They're going to give everything away. Say, rent control. That was a big issue. I know rent is out of control in New York City, but rent control also hurts the landlords because of inflation. If you can't make money, you can't break even. Man, they're going to say, I'm going to walk away from these properties. Things are going to get worse. That was a big issue. Rent control. They were pushing the rent control. Free busing. Really? You're going to get a lot of freebies. Not free busing, maybe even free subways. Also, free transit also? Wow. Okay. They also give away, he wants to get health care or at least child care. I mean, these are a lot of things he wants to promise to people, hardworking people. And how is he going to pay for it? Well, he wants to increase the city taxes. So New York is really overtaxed, Wade. You got state income tax, you got a city income tax. So even if you work in New Jersey or somewhere else, but you live in New York City, you still got to pay income to the city for that employment. That's insane.
Anything you get up there is about $3 higher. Like, I mean, I'm a big Monster drinker. I know they're probably not the most healthiest thing, but a Monster here in South Carolina run you about $3. Up there is going to run you close to $6, if not slightly more, depending on where you buy it from. Crazy.
And then you got 9% sales tax on top of that. Then you got high gas tax, all the tolls. You can't escape all the tolls are out there. It is a city that's a typical tax, and they keep on taxing. And then they have the corporate tax. So he wants to increase the corporate tax. He wants to increase those who make over $1 million a year, pay more taxes. So he just keeps on. So what are people going to do? Hey, escape from New York, right? If you have a company, they're going to start taxing the heck out of you. Sorry, not doing it. You've done well. You have nice properties. Sorry, I'm not doing it. I'm heading out. So that's what New York City is going to happen. Is all right, how are you going to find this revenue? You promised the world. How is this going to happen? Right? Some things the governor's not going to support.
And if you go, if anybody's ever been there, I mean, the amount of people that ride the subway system and actually pay, granted, there's a good number of people that don't pay, they just hop the rails. And nobody's policing that either. I mean, it's not uncommon to see that. I had to explain to my son, I'm like, he's like, he didn't pay. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not risking getting my ass locked up in New York for $2.25 or whatever it is to charge.
We've done well. That's just stupid. Yeah.
But I mean, you think about the money that generates, and that also, in fact, would help to go to maintenance on them things. I'm sure they keep them running. I mean, there's all the time problems with them. Some of those things are very old. The PATH trains are very nice, but I mean, some of those.
Did you ever go on the Staten Island ferry? That's free.
Yeah, Staten Island Ferry is free.
Enormous, right? That's it, folks. If you ever go to New York City, that's the best way to see a Statue of Liberty for free. And my family, we were Christmas morning. We were there, I think, like 8 in the morning, 24/7, 365. It never shuts down, never closes. Unbelievable deal. And that's an enormous expense. Wow. Think about that.
Very, very free, or very free, very cool.
Yes.
Views of it. You go literally right by the thing. It is very awesome. Highly recommend it.
Takes you right to Battery Park.
That is a lot of misconception with New York, because don't get me wrong, it is an expensive city, but it's also a city that you can visit on a budget if you know where to go and things to see and things to do. I mean, like, trust me, man, there's some places in Chinatown I can go and get full as I don't know what and only be out of $7. But now there's some steakhouses I can go to in the city and I come out a few $100s light in the pocket. So it just depends on what you're willing to drop there. But what do you see happening in the first quarter of his time there in New York? What do you foresee happening?
It's going to be tough. I mean, he gets sworn in on the first. The ball drops. He gets sworn in, and he's going to be the mayor. Eric Adams is gone. We can talk a little bit about Eric Adams, and then we'll go there. I think Eric Adams, the deal was, my understanding, was New York City was a sanctuary city, right? And they wanted to be able to go in to the prisons and the jails and start looking for illegals, right? Mm-hmm. And start putting detainers on them to be able to deport them. But they don't want ICE cooperate. He does not want ICE he doesn't want NYPD cooperating with ICE. That's the first issue I'm seeing as a problem right there. That's a big problem. He said, yeah, they can cooperate on violent felons, but deporting illegals. That's not right. I mean, I understand people want to work, but we have a country of laws. Mm-hmm. We just can't take everybody in. And it's not fair for people who have waited the right way to come into the country, right? So this is not right. So that, to me, I think is going to be a big problem. I think you're going to see the massive protests. You're going to still continue to see stuff with ICE. You're going to still see that tension. And we'll see if he wants to increase. Now I heard he might just keep a status quo with NYPD, how much they're paying, right? They may not bring in more people. Keep it 35,000. I think they need more. They have a lot of issues going on over there. A lot of violence, a lot of crime. They're going to need more. So those are two big problems. Then he's going to have an issue with the governor. How much he can increase the city tax, how much he can increase other taxes to pay for these programs that are free for me. I want free for me. Rent control, that might be harder than he thinks to get done. Maybe he can do it. Maybe he can continue some of the policy of rent control, but that's not fair for the landlord, right? If you own property and also you can only charge so much and you give on more rights, maybe they're not even paying. Man, that's a burden. I don't know about you, but I've owned property and I had tenants, and it's a problem when that happens.
Oh, yeah, it costs you a lot of money, especially when you have the squatter, people that just refuse to pay. It's a lot harder than you think to get people that are not paying out of your property.
No, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And then on top of that, you can't increase your rent to cover your costs. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that's another big that's another doozy right there. From free busing, maybe he can pull that off down the road, perhaps. And just maybe not with the metro, maybe with the busing like he wants. Free childcare, I'm not sure about that one.
I don't see that one making it.
No. So he promised a lot. The people are struggling, and you go for the. And another issue, I think you looked at the election. You had Andrew Cuomo. He was the disgraced governor, right? 2 terms, and a third term, he had tons of allegations, inappropriate allegations, sexual allegations against him. He was pretty much going to get impeached. He's forced to resign, disgrace. Why are you running against this guy? You had a significant lead in the primary, and he came out. And again, I think we're talking about his background. His parents are of Indian descent. He was born in Uganda, but raised in New York City in the Queens. His mom was a famous movie producer in India, right? So he has that background. He develops a flair for it, well-educated. He gets pretty cool videos on TikTok, right? He gets his social media platform really booming. I mean, really impressive. And I think that's why he ends up winning the election. Social media puts him on top. He's got the right team. He's producing a lot of cool videos, even when he's assemblyman. If you start looking at all these cool videos, mm-hmm. He does a good job with that. And I think that helps him. He's very articulate. He knows the topics. He threw some great ideas out there, right, that these people want to hear, right? Because you know your base. These are conservatives here, right? These are mostly liberals. So you said, hey, rent free. I mean, rent control. I like that. Busing is good. I want, increase taxes on the rich, but not for you guys. He's trying to be like a modern day Robin Hood, right?
Yeah.
He's stealing everything from the rich, and he's giving all these guys reallocation of wealth is what he's doing. He's taking it around. It's so he hit all the right tunes right there, all the right notes. Boom, 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 boom. Here, Como's damaged goods. I'm not sure why he ran. I have to be honest with you. They needed someone else to run against him, and then he has the audacity then to go as independent. Okay, you lose the Democratic primary to this guy. Now you're going to lose again the second time as independent. And I have to be honest, Slua doesn't have the personality, the background. Uh, he just was misspeaking a lot about what was happening. I think, and plus they weren't looking for a conservative in New York State at this time.
No.
So this is what we got. But what did you think of the meeting he had with Trump in the Oval Office?
That was kind of shocking. And I'll piggyback on what you said earlier, with his social media. You and I, roughly about a year ago, covered Trump winning the election and how we think social media played a huge part in that, of him doing Joe Rogan's podcast, Theo Vaughn's podcast. And, he made the circuit on all those podcasts, Aiden Ross and all those guys.
And Kamala did not.
Yep. I think that is a thing that's got to be looked at as far as the future in politics, right? Everything is gravitating towards social media, like it or not, whether you're a fan of it or not. I mean, my wife, she don't even listen to my podcast. And she said, I listened to Trump's podcast on Joe Rogan. That had everybody glued to see what he was going to say, what Joe was going to ask, how he responded. And the fact that Kamala didn't, and then all the reports come out about which her demands is like, it couldn't be, can't ask these questions, and it's got to be less than an hour, and you have to come to me. And, Trump's just like, take as long as you want. I'll come to you, ask whatever. No, nothing held back, or at least, on the surface, it seemed like nothing was held back.
Yeah.
So social media is a big way to do that. But yeah, what did he say? He said, you can call me an asshole. What did he say? Trump, when they were in together, and he said something about it.
It pretty much called him a fascist dictator.
Yeah, fascist dictator.
You don't have to answer that. You can say yes.
Yeah. It's like you can do that. You can say
he called him a despot. He's called him everything before, and he said, you know what? I think he likes that title. To be honest with you.
Yeah. I think I don't think he dislikes it anyway.
No,
but I mean,
and a dictator, would a dictator be engaged like this if you were a dictator?
Right.
Make someone go away.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the fact that they did that, though, is interesting to me, of how much he's going to stick to the guns that used to get him elected. Because, right, that's really what you look to see what a politician holds up. Everybody's going to promise you the world, but what can they deliver you? And the fact that they did at least get along in that little exchange, I'm curious to see how much he's going to, really stick to his guns on this. It's going to be an interesting time in New York.
For sure.
I'm not saying I'm not going to go back by any means, but I think for the first 6 months out of the year, I'm really going to pay close attention to crime rates and things that's going on down there, because it's going to be very interesting how this whole thing plays out.
We took Uber. We took a lot of Ubers.
Yeah. I usually would Subway during the day. I didn't really have too many reservations about it during the day. But when it got to be nighttime, then I'm a little bit more comfortable getting an Uber or taxi.
Man. Yeah. It's like any big city. It gets a little scary, especially if they're cutting back on the policing, and there's no policing in the cars themselves.
None whatsoever.
It's a little worrisome. So I said I'd rather be a little bit safer. Take Uber or Lyft, wherever you have out there, and go where you have to go, and especially dark at night. If you can do it, fine. But you're going to defund the police, or you're playing both sides. You say some things, you're winking a nod. Now, I didn't mean it, but you really do mean it. And you see, and he's also he's perceived a little anti-Semitic by some, right? But by his politics there with Gaza and how he feels like Israeli has. And does he want to arrest Bibi Netanyahu? Right? He's indicted war criminal out of The Hague. He said he would want to if he came through the UN. I mean, that's crazy talk there.
Yeah,
that's crazy talk. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. I don't know how many Jewish New Yorkers actually voted for him, and maybe went more with Como and Mamdani. Maybe they're a little hesitant, a little nervous. What's his view on Sharia law, by the way? Kind of curious about that. He is Muslim. Is he a practicing Muslim? I'm not sure how religious he really is or isn't. There's a lot to him that's different. I mean, he did go back. He wins the primary. Didn't think he was going to win the primary. And in the middle, I think it was in June, and he gets married in Uganda. with his wife, because I think he was there for like 4 or 5 years, but he goes back and forth. He has property there. I guess he has a nice place out there, and he comes back. So he's interesting cat, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But now he's going to be mayor of NYC. Wow, wow. I think I get it. It was Trump was frustrated. He wanted Silhouette to step down. I mean, give maybe Como a better chance of winning, but Como had his own baggage, man.
Yeah.
Andrew Como, I think once you resign in disgrace like that, it's time to do something else in your life, because people are always going to remember that and they'll say, "No, you were doing things you weren't supposed to. These allegations, they forced you out. They're going to impeach you. You're going to be a disgraced governor. Why are you doing this?" It just hurt. They need to find someone, and he's a fresh face. He's definitely a fresh face out there. He can't run for president because
Right.
he was born in Uganda. But hey, like Trump said, if he wasn't president of the United States, he would love to have been mayor of New York City.
Yeah. 100%. I mean,
not bad.
What's the old saying? If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. So, I mean,
Yeah, man. Yeah. And especially 8 million people, the economy, the power. I mean, it is something to be the mayor of New York City. But unfortunately, the ones we had it last time, Eric Adams, I don't think he should have been pardoned. I think he should. And a lot of prosecutors resigned over what Trump did there, making him drop the charges, up the cases, right, against Eric Adams. And then, of course, Blasio, he was another disaster. He's another socialist. He didn't support the police either.
No.
And in fact, they would turn their back on him, right? And how he acted. So they've had some real bad ones. I think it's in Bloomberg's and Giuliani's. That was a good time. Now, unfortunately, they're in a bad era in New York City. And it can really how people view the city. I mean, some people are negative. It's like, I'm going to reconsider, like you or like others. I say, like, personally now, my daughters, they had the experience there. We spend the day out there with my family. I go back to New York City. Not really. I found it very dirty. I remember when it was nice and better in the 90s and early 2000s, right? Now it's not,
yeah. It is very dirty. It's an experience, man. I mean, some of the places that you can go down there, some of the things you see. I remember I was coming out of a bodega, or I was walking up to a bodega, excuse me, and coming out of the boat, I thought it was a cat. This was the biggest rat I'd ever seen. Had to be 9 months pregnant or whatever the hell it was holding, like, waddling as it was walking down the sidewalk. And when I realized that was a rat, I was like, holy shit. I mean, it's nothing to look in the subway when the train's not there. I remember I told my son was looking, I was like, look at there. This was a big ass rat, like pulling like a half a slice of pizza that somebody threw in there, like pulling it down the railway there, going wherever it was going. I was just like,
so they eat well. They eat well and they get big well. And they said there were huge alligators living down there too.
I wouldn't doubt it if it's down there and it could feed on them big ass rats. I mean, I wouldn't doubt. There's no telling what's down there, and that's
man.
It is a very dirty city, but at the same time, there's still nothing else quite like it. It's just one of the things where you got to see. Phenomenon. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. My wife hates it. She has no desire to go back. Did you
have a separation in the subway carts once?
The very first time I ever went to New York City, like my first time there, her first time there, this was like 03, 04, a couple years after the after 9/11, we go there. And I knew nothing about a subway system up down. I mean, I didn't know it operated similar to an interstate, I'd barely been driving out of town at this point. And so we take $125 taxi, which now is ridiculous. They will charge that, but there's a lot cheaper ways to get from the airports to the city.
Oh, yeah.
So we get into the city, we get checked in. So we want to go Times Square. So we get a map. We figure out the best way to go Times Square, listening to the subway. They tell you some spots to get off. Sometimes, some of them you just have to kind of figure it out on your own. Yeah. We get out, we do Times Square. We wind up walking. We walk a long ways. We're like Little Italy, and we're like, all right, let's turn around and, let's head back home. So if you don't pay attention which side of the street you go down, you can get on the subway but be going the wrong way.
The wrong way, yeah.
So we're doing the map. We're screaming tourists. We get on there, and I'm thinking, all right, I think we're going the wrong way. And I'm trying to look at the next stop that's coming up, but the blinker thing that comes across is broken. So I'm trying to hear the guy. And the guy's like, next stop, so-and-so, next stop. But he's saying it so fast, he's got an accent. I can't understand what the hell he's saying. And so I'm looking at this map on the wall that's on the wall of the subway. And I told my wife, I said, hey, I'm going to step off really quick when he stops. I'm going to look on the wall of the subway because it has the stop. And if we're here, then we're going the wrong way. We got to get off and get on the other one, going back the other way. And so just real quick, Ignacio, man, I step off that thing and then I hear that shh. and
Quick,
that
quick.
door closed. And when I turned around, it was like something out of a movie. Like I'm there, she's here, and it's just that glass in between us, and it was boom. And I mean,
Gone.
luckily, this was like the early ages of cell phones. So, like, luckily she had a cell phone. I didn't know where the hell I was at. I come running up to the streets. This is probably like 1:30 in the morning. There's not even very many people on the street.
Oh man.
Luckily, she got off at the next stop. She was able to call me. She called a cab. She was able to navigate the cab driver back to find me, and we just got a cab back to the
Back
room.
to that's enough of that.
Yeah, that was a not very pleasant cab ride either. But I caught a little grief for that. I was like, "What did you want me to do? Don't dive after the train?" But it was quite interesting. Now, I got an app on my phone that can tell me every step I need to take to get to wherever I want to go.
It's so different. I I was in New York a lot also since I was small, but my buddies who went in the 90s and more in the late 90s. Of course, we had no cell phones, right? It was old school. You have to have the maps, and you're looking around and stuff, and you're looking at there, and sometimes you thought the subway's going this one way, and it ended up going another, and you end up doing a full loop, and you go it gets scary. I have to say, when you go in the wrong area, it gets scary. It goes like dark, dark, dark with all this graffiti everywhere, and the people look heinous at you, and it's like, oh shit, we came in the wrong spot. You're like, oh man, this is not going to end up well. It finally comes around, you're like, man, that is some scary shit. What the hell? I mean, it's unbelievable. I feel bad for some tourists, man, who don't even speak English or anything else, and all of a sudden they end up in one of those places, Brownsville or something.
Yeah.
Oof, that's not good.
I tell everybody, man, there's an app that I use called City Mapper, and I know New York fairly well, but I still use a City Mapper because it'll not only will it tell you multiple routes to get there, but it'll tell you the cheapest or the quickest depending on traffic or Uber prices or whatever.
Yeah, I like that one. I have that.
It's a great app, and I mean, like literally, it'll tell you every step, and it'll give you multiple options too. Like if you don't want to walk as much, you might have the same travel time, but one of them you got to walk 5 minutes to get and be a little longer on the subway. But the other one, you walk 10 minutes and it's not as much time on the subway, depending on what you want to do.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend that. It's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be interesting how this plays out.
He is going to, and I'm glad we talked about it and people take a look at it, especially looking in New York City. This is a game changer. You don't have a socialist Democrat winning a national election. AOC was very happy. And of course, Bernie Sanders was very happy. The Kabbalah came together, pushing it really strong. So let's see if he's going to reconsider some things. He did decide to keep the commissioner that was there, the female there, as an NYPD. I think it's a good sign. But it's one thing talk, and let's see what his actions are. But I am concerned about him continuing being a sanctuary city and not letting NYPD work with ICE. That doesn't sit well with me. I think that's a big problem. That's a big problem. And all these sanctuary cities are a problem.
Yeah, 100%. If they're not here the right way, like you said, they need to go back, do things the right way.
Do things the right way.
And again, that's almost telling people if they get locked up or commit a crime and get locked up, they have, asylum of some sorts in the prison. So, I mean, it's this slippery slope when you start doing that. We're going to hop off the politics for a minute. Let's go to some college football, man. We're closing in on championship weekend. I'll probably get this up within a week, so the championship games may be played by the time this airs. Yeah. But we got an interesting college playoff football coming up in front of us. Some teams that really don't deserve to be there. Tulane is not going to. They're not going to win a national championship. North Texas is not going to win a national championship. You got teams like Texas that probably aren't even going to get in. They're sitting at 13 right now. They're not even going to be able to get in there. We just had a very quality win over A&M. But there's really this is the first year there's really been no dominant team, and I say that I know Ohio State's undefeated, but they're never really battle tested outside of who did they play first game of the year?
Well, they beat Texas.
Texas, right? But Texas didn't really hit their stride until midseason, and they didn't even dominate Texas either. That wasn't a blowout.
14-7.
Yeah, it wasn't a blowout. So you don't really know what obviously they're always going to come prepared. They're always going to come to play. They won it last year. I'm not diminishing them, but there's not really been that dominant team. Alabama has showed flaws. Georgia has showed some flaws.
Yeah, they all have. They all have. And Indiana is an interesting team this year where they're having the best season ever. Can they knock them out for the Big Ten championship and possibly the number one seed going into the college play? That could happen.
Yeah.
Indiana.
And
who would think Indiana? They have no history. The Hoosiers, they're a basketball team, right? Basketball program. No,
and
he could be a football
playing
player.
well. That quarterback they got is really good. I forgot his name, it escapes me, but he's really good.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the season's been up and down, right? So you had Florida State coming out the gate, blowing the doors off Alabama.
Yeah.
Everybody thought they were going to be a juggernaut. Definitely not the case. Miami started off good and hot, beating Notre Dame. They beat
Yeah.
Florida at home. I was actually at that game.
You were at that game, right?
Yeah, I was at that
Yeah,
game.
they beat him good.
You know,
Yeah.
looking very strong. They hit a rough patch, lost some back to back games of teams they shouldn't have
Louisville
lost
and
to.
SMU. The SMU, they could have won both those games, right?
Yeah,
Both of those games, they're definitely winnable. They should have gotten overtime. They should have won that, and even overtime, they should have beat SMU. But at least these two have winning records, right?
right.
Texas lost to Florida. Not only won 4 games this year, they got blown out by Kentucky, right? Kentucky blew out Florida. So I mean, they had some tough losses there. Even though Florida did at the end get Florida State did blow up. Mine beat those teams. So it goes back and forth there. I like Carson Beck when he gets his game together. This guy Tony, great wide receiver, man.
Mm-hmm.
He had some
Malachi
amazing
Tony,
catches. Yeah, whoa. That guy for a true freshman, he's a talent. He's going to be, I think, a good catch for any NFL team in the future. I'll tell you that.
100%. And I think Miami really should get a nod in there over Notre Dame because Miami beat them in the opener. I mean, technically, they have the same record. Notre Dame gets in there off some BS, in my opinion, man. They never have to play in any sort of championship game to hurt their credibility. No. You know, their strength of schedule is never very difficult. They always manage to just sneak in there under the radar like they've just been getting a lease to the playoffs here for the last few years.
They need to. I mean, if they're in the ACC, Notre Dame athletics are in there for other sports, then come on in and play week in and week out and play the ACC.
Yeah.
I mean, you got every other sport come in and go, and now we have a championship. And see what Miami does. You play the Louisvilles, play the NC States, play the SMUs, play all these teams week in at UNC. It's tough when you have to go on the road. Wake Forest is not a bad team. ACC has some decent teams, and it's hard when you're like week in and week out. It's not like you can tee off on 3 or 4 good teams, and you say, "Oh, let's." And not worry about, I got Navy, that's not too bad, or I had to play Air Force, or we have another one here that's not too bad here. Purdue, we'll pick the bottom tier of the Big Ten, and we'll crush those guys. You can't have their cake and eat it.
Yeah. Even Clemson with an off year, I'd like to see Notre Dame and Clemson go at it, and they did play them, years prior. They didn't play them this year.
And I know you went. I think you went to that game, right, between the Gamecocks and the Tigers.
Yes, I was at that game as well, the Palmetto Bowl, as they call it. That's the first one I've ever been to between those two teams. It was very cold. I was pulling for the Tigers, and they were able to pull it out. It was a very sloppy game, both ends.
They won by 14, I think, right?
Yeah, but I mean, just the way they got it done. If you watch the game, I mean, like one of the touchdowns, Cade Klubnik fumbled the damn ball, picked it up, ran it around the corner. I mean, the first, I think it was the second drive when they went up 7-0. The drive before that, he overthrows a wide open receiver in the end zone by 5 yards. The very next play, he underthrows one by 5 yards and it's picked off. So it was not a strong showing, even though they did win by 2 touchdowns. It was not a strong showing by any stretch of the imagination. They really did kind of go off. Dabo did not take advantage of the transfer portal when he could have. He was very against it. Same way with Nick Saban. Nick Saban so much so that he left Alabama. Dabo, I think, is coming around to it now, but now he's playing catch-up for the years he was trying to stand on.
Mario Cristobal has become a master of that.
Yes, he has.
He's gotten good. That's how he got Carson Beck, man.
Yeah.
Back from Georgia. I mean, he's gotten some good players coming to Miami again. He is a master recruiter. People who don't know, I went to high school with him, by the way, and and he went to Columbus High School. He was a year older than me, so I remember him. He was an offensive line guy, always a big husky guy and stuff like that. You always remember because we went to all boys Catholic high school. You remember he always had the short ties. You keep it right here, real short guy, real cool guy though. And I never thought he was going to be. He was 2 national championships in Miami, right? He tried to play semi-pro, I guess, in the European leagues and all that. That's that didn't work out well. And then, but he's a phenomenal recruiter and coach. He turned around FIU, which is a good program. They had at Florida International University. Then he went to Oregon, the Rose Bowl, right? And now he's in Miami, and back-to-back 10-2 seasons. Haven't done that in over 20 years.
It's impressive. What about what do you think about Lane Kiffin?
Oh my gosh, that's unbelievable. That guy has become all about. He's supposed to be about the players, and a good coach really wants to help his players and be there for them. I don't know who leaves. Ole Miss has a chance. They could win the national championship, right?
Very
You're
well
walking
could. They're
away from
only
that.
one
I
game
understand
down.
they offered you. It's all about the Benjamins, right? Man, you can't even wait till the season's over.
Well, see, that's the thing is, I think old LSU said that they needed an answer. Ole Miss said if he took the job, they weren't going to allow him to stay. And so he had to give an answer after the close of the regular season. To me, I'm telling LSU, if I know I want to do this and I know I want to go there, I'm telling LSU, if you want me, you're going to give me another month. You know, I think the national championship's on January the 19th, right? So you're going to give me another month or so to do what I need to do.
Yeah, and they lose, they get bounced first round. Hey, you get me earlier.
Yeah, or like you said, that's if I go all the way and win the championship. But I mean, I could get knocked out first round, second round, or whatever the case.
Get bounced early, and then you'll be there and work out. But man, that's embarrassing, getting booed like that at the plane. People are yelling all these obscenities at him. Man, but you know what? This is not the only time. I understand it could be a potential $100 million in 7-8 years on the bonuses. It's structured so much that I understand it's a crazy way. But you know what? He could end up leaving and trying to go back to the NFL. He said 2 or 3 years. He was in the Raiders. That didn't work out. He ends up, what he did in Tennessee was awful. He did the same thing at USC. Then FAU, of all teams, another South Florida team, gives him a chance, and he gets his game back. And then all of a sudden, boom! Now he back to SEC, real football again. And man, they gave you a chance, man. Yeah. You're at FAU, right?
And what he's built there in Ole Miss is really impressive, and that's been kind of the talk. Is like, at his disposal now with the transfer portal, and the money is being thrown around these college athletes. The appeal to go to Ole Miss as opposed to a school like LSU isn't as great, right? I mean, let's just be honest. If you're a top tier athlete, and where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Ole Miss or you want to go to LSU? If you got the choice between the two, you're probably going to pick LSU, for your benefit as well. More exposure, more top tier games. If you're a prime athlete, that's going to put eyes on you for your possible future in the NFL.
I'd rather be in Baton Rouge, no doubt about that. I've been there a few times.
Correct.
I like,
and I think what they're going to give him as far as like spending to try to build his team is, I'm pretty sure, going to be up there. He's going to get a lot more of that. I'm sure he's going to poach a few of his players and coaches to come there. There's some people that's going to follow him. They signed with Ole Miss because they thought Lane was going to be there, so they're more than likely going to follow him. So, I don't knock him too much for leaving, right? I mean, I think he was put in a predicament where he had to make a choice. He made the choice. He worked his ass off at Ole Miss to get there. I would have liked to see him make this run because I do think they have a good chance at winning this thing. Had Lane stay there. Now, if they lose the first round or whatever, everybody's going to stay as, well, it was because of this and because of that. You never really know,
It's not the same coaching. It's the morale of the team.
Yeah.
These guys felt abandoned, and it's going to be a lot of drama there. And the interesting thing is LSU, I think, does play in Ole Miss next year.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that will be an interesting game to go to.
They're going to be booing him left and right when they see him, man. They'll give him an earful. He'll get an earful.
Right now, who's your favorite to go?
To win it or to get in? Obviously,
to go. Just give me your final. Give me your final.
Do you think if Alabama loses in the SEC championship game to Georgia, should they be in there?
No.
Okay, so you say no.
If they lose, no, because that's
three losses.
3 losses. Yeah. I can't say you put them in there and Texas stays out after Texas just beat the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
Alabama's now would have been lost at different phases of the season, right? So, yeah, they lost the first one and they rebounded nicely. But then they just dropped it, a couple weeks ago? Who was that to beat them at home?
Oh, Alabama?
Yeah. Somebody beat them at home. Oklahoma. That's right. Yeah. Oklahoma beat them at home. Now, if you lose again to Georgia, I know you beat them earlier in the year, and you beat them on the road in the Georgia Dome between the hedges. Impressive. But if you lose to them this late in the year, then you've kind of lost the traction you gained, whereas Texas gained traction and hasn't really lost it.
And I think Alabama got lucky to beat Auburn.
Oh, yeah, 100%. They were driving to win that game. Or I ain't going to say win it. They were driving to tie it. But,
yeah,
I mean,
they got lucky. They got lucky. So I think they're a little rattled, and I think they could definitely lose. And they're playing in Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. SEC Championship is in Atlanta, indoors. Changes things.
Where the Falcons play, the Mercedes-Benz Bowl. So I give the advantage to Georgia. no doubt about it. That's a big advantage.
Kirby Smart, I forgot his record against teams at home as a favorite. It was I forgot what it was. It was astronomical. The fact that they lost that game, and even that one was a tight one. It wasn't a blowout. They got down early, they fought, and then they come up a little short at the end. I don't think you can do that twice to Kirby Smart, to a Georgia team that's gained a lot of strength. They've been battle tested. They're going to be ready to go. Look, Georgia's been in the mix every year for the last long. I don't know how long.
Yeah,
I don't see Alabama winning that game, and I don't see them being able to stay in the playoffs if they do. It's just not.
They
right.
had 3 losses last year, and they stayed out. Also, the same thing happened to them. Also, so I think you're right. Texas and Alabama, 3 losses, they lose. I think they need to reformat the whole playoffs. I don't think Tulane should be in there. North Texas shouldn't be in there. Give me your best 12.
Yeah.
Where finish whatever. And I don't think that they should be playing the SEC championship and the ACC championship, any of the championships. Once you're done, that's in, because like Alabama says, hey, I would have gone in if we didn't have this, right? Or they lose or out, right?
Yeah. Or you make your playoffs before your championship games. The championship games don't factor in.
Yeah.
That's an option. If you do that, if you lock in your best 12 before the championships, you have that crown to say you won the SEC championship, but it don't knock you out. Because before, you got to think a lot of these, before they had this 12 team and 4 team and 8 team playoff, whatever they've expanded it from, before a lot of times the national championship depended on these games. If you lost, you were out of the national championship. You can go undefeated all year long. You slip up once in an SEC championship game, it can knock you out of the title.
It used to be I remember back in the 80s, 90s, they didn't even have the number 1, number 2 playing each other. And then they started at least trying to force them to meet in the same bowl game, 1 and 2. Okay. Yeah. And then they added 4, right? Then there's 4. And now they kept on expanding this. I think maybe at the end it'll be 16. 16. I think it's a good number. No buys. The best of the best, and maybe be done with these championships. Or like I said, do it later. But Notre Dame has to find a conference, because if they're going to keep this with the conference championship being a factor, they can't get a bye like this and just slide and just say, I'm not doing anything. Everybody else has to fight their way in there. I got to play an extra game, and you got to sit there idle. No, if you're not playing, you slip. I don't think BYU beats Texas Tech. Mm-mm. I think they're out. Boom. They're going to be done. So that opens up. And if Alabama loses, boom, they're out. That leaves, I think, Miami. And unfortunately, Notre Dame, they go in.
Yeah. And Miami getting in, that could be interesting. I think right now as it sits, I don't know how you say Georgia isn't the favorite to win it, even though Ohio State's not lost a game. My pick is Georgia to win that game or win the national championship.
Yeah, Georgia's is a tough team. But SEC football, man, these guys, man, they match up well against each other.
They do.
You never know. A&M could recover and get pissed in that loss. And, A&M's also a very good team there. Ole Miss, like you said, they could pull it off. SEC team is good. I don't think Oklahoma – I don't like Oklahoma's chances. I pushed them back there. Hurricanes, Nick Saban said that if the Canes get in, they have a very talented – and like Mario, don't count them out. Mm-hmm. Watch out for the Canes. They're a tough team also. So it's fun. I mean, Indiana, we'll see what happens in Indiana. Maybe they're going to – imagine they crush Ohio State and rock everything, and they'll be the number 1 seed.
You're going to find out which one of them teams are for real, I think, that you're really going to have to worry about in that game.
Georgia has to send a message, though. They need good payback. They need to punish them in Atlanta, get rid of Alabama. They're out there, and everybody sees, that what happened with FSU is part of the problems they had with Alabama. Because Miami, again, beat the teams some of these guys lost to.
Yeah.
And that's a big fact. But nonetheless, this has been an entertaining. It's even gotten up all the way to President Trump. I don't know if you heard the conversation with Marco Rubio, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, giving a briefing. He is talking, and then he tells the president, "I said, if Miami doesn't make the college playoffs, you're gonna have to take over next year and run it yourself." He's we're about the same age, and he was also raised in Miami. He went to Palmetto High, went to Columbus High. He played football also. He loved football. He played defense, I think defensive lineman. And he went to Florida, though, but he was raised as a Hurricane.
That's the Hurricane, man. I really enjoyed that game. I didn't even know when I got the tickets because I told my son we'd go to one like out-of-state game. Okay. And that's the one we picked. Wound up being a night game. College Game Day was actually awesome. There. So it was a very, very good pick. But I didn't realize that they played in the same stadium as the Dolphins. I didn't even know that.
Oh, you know that?
I
Yeah,
did not
Dolphin
know. I
Stadium.
didn't
Yeah.
realize that. So we went there. I
I
mean,
think it's
it's a
called
beautiful stadium.
Hard Rock Stadium now. I
Hard
think it's
Rock
called
Stadium,
Hard Rock.
yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful stadium. It's actually designed in night game, it didn't really matter, but in the daytime or on Sundays, it's designed to where the visiting team is like right in the direction of the sun. So it
Oh.
adds like a little bit more degrees when it's dead heat of summer over there. I don't know who engineered it that way, but a little interesting tidbit that people always factor in, especially
I,
bettors.
I enjoyed watching the Hurricanes and the Dolphins play in the Orange Bowl growing up.
Yeah.
That was a special environment. And people who don't know, the Orange Bowl hosted quite a few Super Bowls,
Oh, yeah.
quite a few national championship games. And I saw one in particular one I remember clearly when Notre Dame lost to Colorado right at the end when the punt return came back. Notre Dame was on the cusp of winning. They were up 9-3, about just had to kick the ball away. And I'm right there watching it. And they take it to the house. They didn't kick it to the sidelines. They kicked it to the punt return, and he took it to the house and beats Notre Dame 10-9 to win the national championship. I've seen some classic games there. I've seen Miami beat FSU wide rights. I mean, I've seen some. And the Orange Bowl is a special place. I always thought that was a huge mistake to tear it down. It was around the 1920s.
Yeah.
So for Marlins Stadium, Marlins Park, where the Marlins play. I mean, I don't know if you've been there. It is it's a retractable a roof and everything. But the Orange Bowl just needs to be revamped. But it had so much football history. I mean, the Dolphins, perfect season Dolphins played in the Orange. I mean, so much history with the Hurricanes and the Dolphins, and before that, and big games, the Orange Bowls every year. It was a shame that they didn't do more with it.
Yeah, I went to the Clemson game when they played FSU this year. Also, that was a night game as well. That was a nice stadium. First time I'd ever been to Clemson Stadium. So that was a pretty cool experience. I'm trying to go to like one away game a year in college, just to give my son some of that college experience too. He fell in love with Miami.
Florida State and Florida also have pretty cool stadiums. Also, I've been to both of those. Camel Field. It's just that the chop. It gets intense. Especially they'll be competitive again. They'll be, especially if they're playing the Gators or the Hurricanes. It's crazy.
I'll tell you one that's on my bucket list. I want to go check out. I want to go to Tennessee, and I want to go to a Georgia.
Knoxville's beautiful. Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind going to an LSU game. I ain't gonna lie. I wouldn't mind going to an LSU game.
I've been to an LSU Florida game, and I was there working on a detail, and we got tickets there. This is during Katrina, and we were in Baton Rouge, and I saw LSU beat the Gators in a good game. And then I saw Nick Saban. He had just left the year before, and he's coaching the Dolphins. And because New Orleans had issues, they had to play in Tiger Stadium, and I watched that one too.
Wow.
Nick Saban coming back. He's in there, Death Valley, coaching the Dolphins against the Saints.
That's funny.
I love football too, Wade. It's a great sport, a lot of history. But folks, watch it. It is a lot to choose from. But watch out, see what happens between Notre Dame and Miami. Maybe both get in, and if it's just they pick one, I think at the end, even in the NFL, like Marco Rubio told Trump, head-to-head is always the first tiebreaker.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If only one get in, you cannot not put Miami in there. They beat him. They beat him straight out.
Yeah, Notre Dame is nervous now because they got bumped down. Alabama bumped ahead of them now.
Yeah.
So they're 10, and Miami's right there. So at the end, I think it could slip out, and they could not go in there. And I think he's nervous about it. But you had your losses early. You don't play in a conference championship. Well, shame on you. Maybe now you will get in the ACC. So you know what? Let's go. Let's do it.
Yep. Interesting December for football fans for sure. Who's your pick? Who's your pick before we wrap this up? Who you got winning?
My pick, I got to go with the Canes.
You going with the Canes?
How about them Canes, baby? I have to go with the Canes. I'm all about the U.
All about the U.
I got to go with the Canes. I think they make it, and I think like Nick Saban said, and mark his words, he said, this team gets in, they can take it to the house.
They absolutely can. They have the firepower. Carson Beck is seasoned enough. There's no reason why they can't get in there and do it. All you need is a shot. All you need is a shot.
Just get in, play there, and see what happens. But if you want to go SEC, yeah, I don't dispute Georgia, A&M. I think those two up there. If you want Big Ten, well, I want to watch Indiana. If they're going to play Ohio State, if they crush Ohio State, watch out for the Hoosiers.
Think about what kind of and I don't know if this could be a finals game or not, but think about what kind of a hype would be around a Miami Georgia match with Carson
That'd be
Beck
great.
facing his older
Whole team. Yeah.
team. I mean,
I
who would know
don't know
them
where the
better?
national championship game is. I have to check it out where they're going to play. It's
They're
not in
playing in
LA.
Miami. In Miami.
The final?
Yep, in the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami.
That will be a great advantage. So I know because they use the big bowls to go around for the championship once they get the semifinals. So that's huge for Miami. If they can make it, that's a huge event. Miami will be rock and rolling.
Whoa, when I looked at that, I didn't realize that. I was actually just looking at to mark it off my calendar, so I didn't schedule any podcasts that day because I wanted to make sure I didn't have anything that would interfere with me watching it. And when I seen it was in Miami, I'm like, I don't know if I can afford a ticket, but just the atmosphere of being in Miami that weekend would be electric. And
you're in South
contemplating
Beach? You should. You should. You'll be. What day is that?
They have it on a Monday. It's always on a Monday.
Monday, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
If you can do it, man, it's not far. Drive down. It's not far at all.
I wouldn't even. I mean, Spirit can get me there like $45. You need every bit of that to hang around. What's going on down there. But I mean, Miami in itself is a great place to go and visit, hang out, and have a good time. But the energy that a national championship would bring to that city would be different. So I seriously thought about going down and just a tailgating experience. When they played Florida, I mean, everybody just had tents on tents. You come up, if you're wearing Miami Hurricanes gear, you were good. You didn't have to worry about a thing. There was food, drink,
gear.
whatever.
Not good, huh?
Not too much of a Gator.
Now, I saw you wearing the Clemson, watching your videos. I saw you wearing your Clemson jersey.
Yeah.
And some guys, you do a video, weren't too nice in the back there.
No, they were not. I was surrounded by a bunch of Gamecock fans.
Yeah.
And they weren't pleased by the end of that.
No,
but it was all in good fun though. I didn't rib them too bad. They didn't rib me too bad. So it was like when they would get to third down and everybody would really going crazy and the teleprompters, everything's telling them make some noise for your boys and all. I'm just telling everybody just to sit down, be quiet. I can't hear. And it became comical, but they weren't too bad. Clemson and Carolina is going to always have a rivalry.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. They said that's a Palmetto rivalry, right?
Yeah, Palmetto Bowl every year they have it. It rotates. Maybe next year I might try to check it out in Clemson.
Your son looks like he's rooting for the Gamecocks, right?
He definitely was. He's more of a Gamecock fan. So
okay.
And Sellers is another one. He does play football. He's a middle linebacker for the high school. He just wrapped up his junior season, so he'll be heading into his senior season next year, which is kind of why I wanted to take him to some of these college games just to get that field experience. And he's a big Gamecock fan, and Sellers is going to be an interesting story as well because he had a great rookie season last year. Gamecocks were kind of the talk of, they were the hot team that they were going to be left out of the playoffs, because right up in the end they beat Clemson and knocked them off. So, they didn't make it this year. Everybody had extremely high hopes and they did not live up to those expectations. So now with the third year, does Sellers look to leave and go to somewhere a little bit more established to up his draft stock? Because it definitely plummeted this year. So if South Carolina can keep Sellers, that's going to be another story to play out. With this transfer portal, it changes a lot of things. And
Cristobal's good at using it. He's been a master of using it and watch it. And I think watch if they can get in. Like I said, Kane's in, ND out. Hopefully, won't be ND in. Kane's that's not good. They would have to make some serious changes. And like I said before, we don't need Tulane in there. We don't need North Texas in there. We don't want Duke in there. No. That's no good. The best. We want the best. There's no reason to have diversification of conference champions. What? No. What is that about? Who wants to? What are you talking about? You want the best. SEC, ACC, Big 12, and Big 10. And if somehow another conference decides to step up a little bit and perform, fine. But if you can't, it's not fair for those guys who are week in. It's a key. Like I said, they play the best players, the best teams. You play soft schedule. You only play one or two good ones. That's not fair.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think it's going to be a great season. Another great episode, my friend. Enjoyed having you as always. 100%. We'll let you know when we drop this. We'll tag you and everything. Everybody go check out Ignacio Esteban. He's got links on all of the videos we've done together. He's got enough books to keep you reading to after the college football playoffs are over. And any other socials or websites you want to plug before we get out of here?
Yeah. If you can. Also, I also write a lot of articles too. You get my books on Amazon, the short reads, but I also have my articles. I think I have 165 plus on medium.com. Medium, 100 million users so far. I really enjoy that platform, writing. It's, like I said, sports, politics, and true crime. You'll also follow me on Facebook. I have a group like that. I know you're on that group there, and
Absolutely.
I post a lot of stuff out there too. Those are the topics I like to talk and write about, and I write a lot about it. I even wrote an article. I think I reached out to you about the Catholics versus the convicts, right?
Yeah. That does not be one we need to revisit and cover that for sure. That was a heck of a rivalry back in the day when Lou Holtz was there.
That was an amazing, and I'll do more sports shows with you too because I love college football and I saw a lot of those games. Not only but in person also, and I really enjoyed it. It was special times, and I was born in the '70s, but I was able to watch old enough to enjoy when my first game. Remember with Bernie Kosar shocking Nebraska to win the national championship, staying up late watching the game, and the pandemonium next day in Miami. Finally, because it's been a while, the Dolphins hadn't won since the early '70s, right? And then it's been going dry 50 plus years, unfortunately. Dolphins haven't won a Super Bowl, but the Canes, man, they've always delivered, and they're winners. It's all about the U. And go to Netflix, man. There's so many cool documentaries. Watch the one about the Catholics versus convicts, how that shirt started. Unbelievable story about that alone. If you haven't seen that one, Wade.
Yep. Yeah. So was that? I think that was. What was it? Was that a 30 for 30?
I don't remember. It's on Netflix though.
Okay. Yeah, I have to check that out for sure.
And I saw it on Netflix. Maybe it was ESPN 30 by 30, maybe it wasn't. But no, I don't know if it was. I know the guy who did it produced it, who came up with the shirt back in the game was in the late '80s, and a lot of controversy of that game. Miami should have won the national championship that year, and man, tough loss. He didn't have a fumble there. It was a touchdown at the end, but Lou Holtz takes it, and then that's the problem I had. They played West Virginia that year for the championship, right? Instead of playing a contender, number one, whenever they wanted, it pretty much just had to win out.
Yeah.
Things changed. Things changed a lot. I think things are going to change a lot after this.
Definitely. Well, we appreciate you having you on, my friend. Welcome back anytime. Ladies and gentlemen, go check him out on Instagram. Give him a like, share, follow. We appreciate you coming on, my friend. We'll catch you next time.
All right, brother. Enjoy, man. All right. Thanks, man. Ciao.
Peace.